Hey, what is up everybody? Welcome back to Design It Green. My name is Carter, and today we're going to talk about what your first year as a practicing landscape architect looks like. Now, I'm just about to hit my 1-year mark as a practicing landscape architect, and I just wanted to take a minute to make this video and help those who are soon to be in this position, or for those who are interested in landscape architecture, seeing what it's like from the beginning. And by sharing my experiences with you guys, I hope that you guys feel a little bit more prepared and ready for what's to come after you graduate in this profession. So without further ado, let's dive into it. So I think I'll start off by saying that any entry-level position is very daunting, regardless of what career you're in. But I think landscape architecture and architecture in general is a little bit different because it is so experience-driven in the field. And what I mean by this is that every encounter or any idea or process that you're going through in landscape architecture is all going to be a drawback to something you've experienced before or something that you've dealt with in a past experience. And that's of course because this field is incredibly diverse. It encompasses a lot of different materials and disciplines, as you guys know who are in the profession already or studying it currently. So I'll say right off the bat, it's a bit overwhelming because you come out of school and like myself, I thought I had a really great background in knowledge. I did a lot of different case studies, different projects over my 3-4 years as a student. And I came out thinking I would have some good drawbacks, some good callbacks, which is, definitely true in a sense, but to the scope of knowledge you need in landscape architecture and experiences to carry you through in a professional sense is really something I can't describe until you're kind of in the weeds learning that for yourself. So on that note, I think it's fair to say that you're going to be learning something new, at least one thing new, every single day for the first 3-4 months, if not your first year, honestly. Like I'm learning things that are different and new just about every day at this point, and still rolling with that currently. So I think in the sense of experience and your understanding of the field in a real kind of world situation, you're going to feel very unprepared. And to be perfectly clear, like this is something totally expected by your seniors, your principals. They were in the same boat as you when they started off. So they totally understand that you quote unquote know nothing about the field as an entry-level employee. Initially, that was something that discouraged me, and I would strongly advise you to make sure to not let that happen to you. Use your higher-ups, your principals, your seniors as tools and soak up all the information you can while it's still expected of you to not, know these things yet. So please, if anything, just ask the question. Ask as many questions as you can. Trust me on this, they won't think you're dumb. If anything, you look more prepared, more interested in the field, more interested in the firm, and your principals will kind of notice that. They're not going to think you're not prepared, you're not ready, or anything like that. Please trust me on this. It's definitely scary. I still feel kind of scared to ask a question sometimes, but honestly, it's not a big deal. There's a lot of people out there who want to help you, especially if you're surrounded in the right firm. So just ask the question. Aside from me telling you that you're unprepared and you're not going to be ready and you're going to be fucking terrified, at the same time, you will feel, based on your school and your knowledge, that you have a really solid foundation in this profession. So yes, you will not have the same experience as your seniors, your principals, which is to be expected. You will, however, have a great foundation and a great base to kind of build up your skills and take it to the next level based on your studio and past experiences. So overall, in your preparation and feeling prepared for an entry-level position, yes, it's going to be daunting, but there are some callbacks and there are some things that you can pull from your experience in school that will really help you and propel you to a great career in architecture, landscape architecture, urban design, wherever you go with it. Now let's talk about what you're most likely going to be doing in your first year as a practicing architect. Now I would say this is something that is going to vary depending on the size of the firm and the type of the work that the firm does. So again, I'll preface this by saying that this is entirely my experience. So for me, I came out of school and I went into a small firm that does, urban commercial work primarily, a little bit of residential, but primarily urban design and, commercial design. And your role in a smaller firm is a little bit different than a larger firm initially as an entry-level employee, because in a small firm, there's less of you. So you need to be able to do more, and it's more hands-off-ish because you need to be getting more done to kind of produce at that small firm level. Whereas in a larger firm, there's more time to kind of be more hands-on. You might spend a lot more time, in the smaller, minute things that don't have a huge impact on the whole scope of the project. So you might be picking up on things like red lines or, in CAD all day, for example. Now, it's not to say that if you go a small firm, you're not going to be a CAD monkey all day, because that's just false. Everyone is going to have to pay their dues in that sense. As an architect, you're going to be doing a lot of CAD. You're going to be doing a lot of work that you wouldn't want to do. But at the same time, there are opportunities to do more fun things like, renderings and drawing and drafting still as an entry-level architect. So a few example tasks I'll give you guys is like red lines, for example, which is just a big stack of papers, or maybe it's on Bluebeam or Adobe. And it's just a whole bunch of markups of a whole bunch of documents, and you have to go through them, make the adjustments in CAD, wherever else they might be, just clean up files, essentially. Some other tasks you'll do is like revising sections, revising plans, diagrams, presentations, all those things that aren't necessarily design related by yourself, but come from someone else, and you kind of take it and make those changes appear. So that way, when you send out to clients and have meetings with other disciplines, the work is current to what the principal or senior, whoever's the head of that project, has their idea of. The other tidbit would be revising details, making construction details, doing research, finding materials online, finding vendors online is something that I don't think you do initially in the first couple months. I think that's something I'm getting into more now, is the materiality of things. Who are the vendors I'm taking from, spec sheets, those sort of things, I think is what you would expect probably after your first 6 months, I would say. So I think that's what to expect in terms of what you'll be doing on kind of a day-to-day basis and for your first year. So I think the last main point to kind of talk about here is the overall quality of life as an entry-level architect, landscape architect. So I think right off the bat, you guys definitely need to know that the kind of studio environment and deadline orientated work does not leave after school. It is basically just as bad as, your years in studio. I would say the only difference is that A, you're getting paid to do it, and B, you're not pulling all-nighters anymore. It goes without saying that when there's a deadline in the office, times can be tough. You might work, 50 or over 50 hours in that week. And it's rough, and it definitely takes a toll on your social life a bit, but deadlines aren't all the time. They come in waves, and you'll kind of get a feel for that when you get started in the practice, but they definitely are rough, and your first deadline is going to be rough for sure. And it's not every week, it's sometimes not even, every month. It just depends on where the project is and the timeline of that project. Sometimes, maybe it's this 1 week where we have to crunch and put a ton of hours in, or maybe it's 2 weeks you got to crunch and put a ton of hours in, but it's not all the time. And you definitely get through it, and you kind of use your school ways to navigate through that. But that said, the downtimes are really nice. Like when you're between deadlines, it's pretty low key. Like I would say it's pretty nice. Like it's not bad at all. So I think probably the big reason why you're here or might be here is to see if you're still gonna like it after your first year as a practicing landscape architect. And I think after reflecting that, I think I still am happy as a practicing landscape architect. I still really love it. There's a lot of, great validation that comes with these projects. You get to see it actually carried out instead of in school. You can go to the sites, you see how the site gets taken from kind of this concept all the way through and gets created, and then you're able to go there after. It's a little different in residential, which is kind of why I went the commercial urban design route. But for me, that part is very validating, and I'm looking forward to kind of continue to progress in my career and, you know, get out of that entry level kind of stuff. So I hope this video was able to kind of give you guys a little bit of a sense of what to expect in your first year as an entry-level landscape architect and what you'll most likely encounter in that first year. So of course I could go on and make this video 45 minutes long, but nobody would want to see that. So if you have anything specific or anything like that you want to ask me, just feel free to comment below, and I'll certainly answer. I'd love to answer and provide as much information as possible to you guys. So yeah, thanks for hanging out today, guys. And if you enjoyed the video, smash that like button for the algorithm and consider subscribing for more.